I look like I'm the kind of guy who's on his third Tifa body pillow this year, right? I get that.
People of Rokugan, take back your city, of course.
I'm not like everyone else where they have one game and they all say the same exact stuff about the same exact thing as each other once a week, okay? Get off my ass. We had another Legend of the Five Rings RPG review for the Emerald Empire's The Essential Guide to Rokugan. I can talk. This is my 6th video I'm filming today, so get off my ass. Emerald Empire's Guide is the very first sourcebook they released, and it kind of makes sense. This ends up being something of a general GM guide. In a way, one thing that I was really starving for after the core book is just more lore. We have 7 kingdoms, basically, and a whole bunch of minor ones, and also the royal families, by the way. Plus, it's a world that's inspired by Asian customs and is rooted in like, Asian culture, and, like, I don't know anything about that. Like, I know I look like a total weeb. Like, I look like I'm the kind of guy who's on his third Tifa body pillow this year, right? I get that. I get that. Not the case. I don't get any of this stuff. So I needed a guide to help me. And so, Emerald Empire's Guide. The format is very similar to the Shadowlands book that I talked about, but just bigger, grander. We have multiple chapters, and most of them, well, except for the 7th player options focused chapter, they basically go in kind of the same way. Here's a certain type of location in Rokugan. Strongholds of Power is all about palaces. Centers of Trade is about cities and centers of trade. Heart of the Empire is more like rural life and flyover country kind of stuff. Sacred Spaces, Paths to Enlightenment. One is more about temples and monasteries, the other is more like shrines, so like one is dedicated towards Order of Monks specifically, and other is more religious stuff that's like open to the general public, I guess, right? It would say in the book, like, it's a big book, okay, and I have a lot of books, I'm not going to read every square inch of all of them, but eventually I will. I'm not like everyone else where they have one game and they all say the same exact stuff about the same exact thing as each other once a week, okay? Get off my ass. And so within that chapter of that certain type of location, they'll talk about that location in general, just how it works, really, like with a palace. How does a palace work? What types of people are in there? Like the courts, the diplomatic stuff that's going on, what is that like? What are the certain types of people that would appear in a court? How does war work, right? It's in one of these. War and diplomacy, there we go. That's actually a fun section because not only do they have war in general, specific wars, but also that they have how each clan fights wars in general. What is Dragon Clan's fighting style? Lion Clan's, the Crab Clan, and just like 2 paragraphs each. It's kind of a neat little touch. But anyway, they talk about this thing in general, and then one by one they have, like I talked about in Shadowlands, a smaller sub-location with maybe a little picture or map sometimes. There's like 8 different maps in here of different broad categories of area. But it's history and lore of a particular sub-location, in this case individual palaces. And then we also have an NPC or 2, a stat block, maybe some rumors, you see where I'm going with this. An adventure seed. We have an adventure seed that pertains to that specific palace or sub-location. And they just do that again with cities, and then with the rural areas and roads. And do you want to break down? Do you want the final numbers and breakdowns? Do you want to blow your tiny little feeble mind? 29 adventure seeds tied to 29 small locations of all different types. Palaces, cities, villages, shrines, monasteries, ruins. I have the actual breakdown too, unless I miscounted. I'm sure like one thing is messed up or whatever. I'm close enough, okay? 5 palaces get this treatment. 5 cities, 4 villages, 3 roads or road adjacent locations. Yeah, there's like a way station. That's one of the maps, example maps. 1 shrine. There's a couple shrines, but only one of them gets the adventure seed treatment, so the other 2, they don't exist as far as I'm concerned. 3 temples, 2 monasteries, and then like stuff that's outside, like in the wilderness. 1 mountain jade mine, 2 forests, the Shinomen, sounds like a Pokemon. The haunted forest that the Falcon Clan ghost people, they can see ghosts. They have to because they live in like a haunted forest or whatever, or near it. That one's in here. Also the Kitsune forest, where the fox spirits and animal spirits live, which there's a playable fox, spoilers, a playable fox character in this. That's awesome. And we also have 3 ruins, a ruined temple, a ruined village, and apparently I was too lazy to write the 3rd one, but we have a 3rd one. There's so much you can do with these. Create a giant empire spanning campaign. Like, how does the adventure in this palace tie to the adventure in this village and this and that? You know, they don't have to all be connected, but you could create content like that. You can find all sorts of ways to combine all this crap together. And yeah, 8 different maps. There's a palace map, a village map, a city map, way station map, temple, monastery, shrine. Oh right, the big map. There's a big map of Rokugan. It's just like the map in the core book, that one-page map, but all the locations are, or most of the locations are different, so you just have other locations. I kind of wish you could do a combined Can you have a combined map? Or would that be too much overlap? It would look too cluttered? I don't know. And all of the locations in here, most of them mentioned, will be on that map. 29 adventures, basically. That's insane. And you get to know how all of the different aspects of Rokugan work and every detail. It's almost a little too much. I love this game, I love this world, and I'll be reading it. It feels like I'm reading forever, and I'm like halfway through the farms chapter. It's like, you know what? Like, I don't need to know how taxes work on a farm in this fictional world. Like, it's March. I need to remember how taxes work in the real world, right? But anyway, that's most of the book. Just that format over and over and over and over again. Basically the first chapter to this, but slightly smaller probably, and then 6 times. And then we get to the player section. The big thing with the player section in this book, royal families are now playable, and because they're sort of like the 8th great clan in a way in the universe, mechanically they're treated as the 8th great clan, or just another clan. You pick your clan, the imperial families, and you get the same basic stats, a ring increase, skill increase, status, high status obviously, because you are Kuge. You're a upper level of samurai. There's even a adversary or advantage, I think, where you are Kuge that you can take, but it's not a normal part of this. It should be a normal part of this, right? To take that gives you an advantage. You could just not get the advantage, but you're Kuge by name, but just mechanically doesn't help you, but it still might help you in other superficial ways. I don't know. We have new families, the Mia family, Otomo, Sapun. I did a video on all the royal families, and in fact there's schools as well. There are 5 schools. Otomo's only got the 1. And then the other ones, they're all pretty interesting. Some magic users see in the future. Royal Guards, Cartographer is in there. There's a messenger. But I won't go into great, or even a little bit of detail beyond that, because you can check out my Royal Families video. We have 4 schools on top of the 5, which have nothing to do with samurai, really. Oh, just different non-samurai. 2 of them are monks, just like in the core book. 2 monks. Only one of them gets access to Kiho, right? Yeah. The other one, just like the core book, instead of getting access to Kiho, they get special limited access to invocations. And it's the Fortunus monk order. You pick a monk. In a way, it's kind of like the Tagashi tattooed people from Dragon Clan, where you had like tattoos that would represent different Kiho and you were better with it or something. I don't know. Point is, you pick a god or a fortune, a certain type of really powerful god, kami, whatever. It's all the same thing, I think. You pick one, and then you get a certain amount of invocations that represent that fortune. And there's a big fortune section in here somewhere with a list of them. They don't put the page number. That would have been nice if they put the page number. But they do have in the margins a bunch of examples. So Bishamon, I think they're the fortune of strength, which is why they get Armor of Earth, Biting Steel, Courage of 7 Thunders, Power of Earth Dragon, and Tetsubo of Earth. You just use the earth to craft a giant baseball bat with nails sticking out of it, made of dirt. That's you can do that. But these are just suggestions if you want to follow it to make it like thematically appropriate. Pick a different fortune, pick a different set of invocations for this particular fortune. You just pick very small amount of invocations you have access to, and if you want it to be thematically relevant, you have some decent information to guide you through it. Shinseist Monk Order. They're very much the oneness with the universe. They just feel like a classic monk in a way, just very meditative. And their school ability helps them with just about anything. They make great use of the seize the moment thing that anyone could do, but even better. And seize the moment kind of helps you with whatever it is you're doing. So, yeah, they're just really good at whatever you want. Finally, we have the fox spirit I talked about before, who are shapeshifters, and they're kind of, they're not really bad guys. They're good. There's no real malice here, but they like to be kind of mischievous trickster people, pose as a peasant, samurai, do stuff. They get the false identity disadvantage, so does this other person, Colette Saboteur. They get the false identity disadvantage, which really they should just put it online, because everyone should have access to it. It should be in the core book or free online. False identity disadvantage, because it's all about jockeying for position amongst the other clans and backstabbing. No other game promotes kind of friendly or not so friendly player versus player action than this game. It just It's baked into the world and the system. Everyone needs to know what that disadvantage is, but they get it naturally. And there's even a little good thing with it where you can actually spend some points. At a certain point, you can spend some points to get a limited version of a school ability of what you're impersonating. You know, maybe you're disguised as a Crab Clan Haruma Scout. Okay, so you'll get basic access to their ability. Anyway, they're shape-shifting trickster spirits with magic and stuff. Colette Saboteur. This is one of the more interesting ones. First of all, they only get 2 types of techniques. They don't get rituals. They're the only one I've seen that hasn't gotten rituals. Maybe in Path of Waves, it's a more common thing. But they don't get rituals. That basic normie downtime magic that everyone gets, they don't get it. Because they want to upend the whole social structure of Rokugan, which is tied to the gods and the celestial order and all that, which makes sense. You know, you can't like light incense and do prayers and expect something to happen if you're trying to upend this entire system. It's tied to the social structure, so down with the whole peasant, samurai, half-people, non-people bullcrap, right? Screw that noise. One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist.
People of Rokugan, take back your city, of course.
We have lots of advantages and disadvantages, anxieties, adversities, etc. Just a nice variety of stuff here. I wish I could say the same for techniques. We get 2 shuji, 2 talking techniques. That's all we get. These are supposed to be in the core book. Oh, quick, shove them in this book. That's what it feels like. There's like 9 or 10 titles, which is great. Anyway, so Emerald Empire, where did I put this away? It's really great for 2 types of people. Either you have no idea what kind of campaign you want to run, and you want some ideas, or you know exactly what kind of campaign you want to run. It's going to be all over, and you want some ideas. Also, people who just really want to do Rokugan right, and the culture right, and, you know, not just sort of have vaguely Asian-sounding D&D. You know, I want the culture and the customs, and I want it to feel kind of different. Feel like a new world that my players get to explore. If you're really into that, you'll have that and then some. Well, maybe you want something just more specific. Hopping everywhere could be a pain. Stringing all these disparate pieces of content together, different locations, could be a pain unless you're just constantly reskinning stuff. It might be more value for you to go for a book, a smaller clan source book, and the corresponding adventure module, especially because they kind of feed into each other, really useful paired together, and at roughly the same price, maybe a little more expensive than just buying one of these. If you know you want your campaign to be in the Shadowlands, well, I don't need to friggin' tell you. If the Shadowlands sound interesting, or very diplomacy-focused, those books will be a higher priority. Anyway, that is it for today. If you like this video and want to see more, you can buy some of my merch at my Teespring store. I'm really pushing this hard. Profit margins are pretty dank, yo. Chaotic Lazy, it's like a D&D kind of thing, like the alignment system, but I wanted one that was for me, not just a character, but for me, but really spoke to me. None of the other ones speak to me. Chaotic Good? No. Lawful Evil? No. Lawful Good? Definitely not. Chaotic Lazy? That's it. That's a sweet spot right there. That's me all the way. And also Roll Fortitude. Get it? Because it's poison? No one has bought any of these. It's all about that still canon. No one cares about this. So glad I spent money on samples.